You can't describe the feeling and being really inside of a monument that has just been discovered and is just literally emerging out of the ground.
The most advanced AI on the planet was asked to fix the Colosseum, and it ended up finding proofs that history is wrong.
It seems to be more fighting outside of the amphitheater than inside of it. It's just a scene of absolute chaos.
For centuries, we looked at these ruins and saw a simple stone stadium. But once the computer finished its work, it showed a fully functioning machine that worked as one single system. The level of detail in the design is so precise, it rivals modern stadiums built today. There are parts of the building that still baffle engineers because the math is just too perfect. This discovery is changing the way we look at the ancient world forever. Advanced secrets found in the stone. You cannot really describe the feeling of being inside a building that was just found again. It is like the stone is coming right out of the ground. 2,000 years ago, Rome built the biggest arena the world had ever seen. It was a giant pile of stone, shows, and power. Today, it is mostly in pieces. But when Grok AI tried to put it back together using new data, something very weird came out. It looks like there was more fighting happening outside the stadium than inside. It is just a scene of total chaos. There were secrets inside the walls that showed knowledge far beyond what we think the Romans had. They never wanted anyone to see these things. This building was way ahead of its time. Grok AI is one of the smartest computer brains around today. It works with tons of data, laser scans, drone pictures, and maps. It looks at hundreds of Roman buildings all at once. When that brain looked at the Colosseum, we finally saw it for what it really was. It was an amazing working machine made to run as one big system. But before the AI shows what we lost, you have to understand what it used to be. Most old stories say it was a place of noise and scary fights. They had animal hunts and famous battles that ended with people losing their lives. But what those old writers never said was how they built it. How did a group nearly 2,000 years ago make a place that could hold as many people as a pro football stadium today? The numbers still shock the experts. When it was done, the Colosseum could hold between 50,000 and 80,000 fans. No other place back then even came close. People could walk in, find their seats, buy some snacks, watch the show, and leave faster than we do at some modern stadiums. But here is the catch. The Colosseum was planned on purpose down to the last inch. Every hallway and platform had a job. It was for the people in the show and the thousands of workers behind the scenes. It was not just for fun, though. There was a big political message in the walls. It was a warning to everyone who saw it. It was a reminder that Rome had the money, the workers, and the smarts to change the world. The oval shape and the perfect math were a way to show they were in control. Basically, nothing about it was an accident. The arches repeated in a perfect beat all the way around. This was proof that Rome was hands down the best at building things. One of the coolest parts was how they moved the crowds. The building had 80 doors. Fans could pour in and out so fast that people who build stadiums today still study it. The system was very clear. Your ticket told you exactly which stairs and hallway to use. It also told you where to sit based on who you were. The most important people sat closest to the action. Then came the rich guys, then the regular men. Women were put way up high, and people who were not free had to stand at the very top. The building was like a map of how Rome worked. You could see who was important with just one look. They also used the best stage tech they had. The floor had dozens of hidden trapdoors. Under the floor was a maze of cages, ramps, and ropes. Workers could send animals and props up into the arena smoothly. This all started under a guy named Emperor Vespasian around the year 70. He gave it as a gift to the people to make them happy after a bad ruler named Nero. Even the spot where they built it was a message. Nero had a private lake there. Vespasian drained the water and put the stadium on top. He was saying that this land belonged to the people now, not just one man. When he passed away, his son Titus finished the job. He opened it up in the year 80 with 100 days of games. It was a massive job. Tens of thousands of workers who were not free did the hard labor. They also had experts like artists and engineers. They used special materials for strength and speed. Roman concrete was super strong and lasted a long time. They used limestone for the outside and marble for the fancy seats. They even used iron clips to lock the big stones together. They used arches to spread out the weight so it could hold all those people. They built it in sections so different teams could work at the same time. To finish a building that is 600 feet long and 150 feet tall in only 10 years is crazy. The outside wall had 4 levels with different styles. At the very top, they had a giant tarp that moved. Sailors from the Navy moved it to give people shade. But the Colosseum we see now is just a small part of what used to be there. But the building had a weak spot no one noticed. Missing pieces. No one can explain. A huge part of the southern wall fell down after some big earthquakes hit Rome. These happened between the years 400 and 1400. 2 specific quakes in 847 and 1349 did the most damage. The one in 1349 was the worst. It ripped away giant chunks of stone. Even with these big breaks, the way the building handled the shaking is still a mystery. Engineers today know which parts broke, but they still do not totally get the logic behind why some parts stayed up and others did not. The Romans built with such a high level of skill that it seems too advanced for their time. Some of their choices are just lost to us. Besides the big disasters, the weather also hurt the building slowly. Rain got into the stone and washed away the fine details. Wind wore down the corners for hundreds of years. Modern pollution made it worse by making the stone dark and eating into it. The builders never saw that coming. Layer by layer, the outside fell apart into what we see today. Fire also did a lot of damage because the Colosseum used to have a ton of wood. They had wooden seats and a wooden floor over the basement. Lightning hits and accidents burned that wood many times. This left the stone weak and scorched. One of the biggest mysteries is the lift system under the floor. The doors and platforms that brought the lions and the fighters up are gone because they were made of wood. All that is left are the stone tracks and grooves. Experts have looked at these very closely. They have some ideas, but nobody knows for sure how the whole thing worked. There are no blueprints left. The Romans did not leave any drawings or measurements to help us. People wrote about the games, but not how they built the elevators. Even today, it is hard to explore. Some rooms are too weak to walk into. Some have shifted so much we cannot measure them right. This means a building we have studied for hundreds of years is still full of secrets. But the part that really hurts is what humans did. After the Roman Empire fell, the arena was just left there. People started taking the good stuff. The marble seats went first. Then they dug out the iron clips that held the stones together. You can still see the holes where they pried them out. They took the big stone blocks to build new things like churches and palaces. Even St. Peter's Basilica has stone that was stolen from the Colosseum. The building changed a lot over the years. In the year 1100, some powerful families turned it into a fort. They built walls inside to hide from their enemies. Later on, a pope let workers use it like a rock quarry to build new stuff in the city. Then regular people moved into the ruins. They had shops, storage rooms, and even stables for horses inside the hallways. It became a neighborhood. By the year 1700, the church said it was a holy place. This stopped people from taking more stone. In the 1800s and 1900s, people finally started trying to fix it. They cleared out the trash and tried to make the walls stable. They worked on it a lot in the 1990s too. But even now, it is not finished. We still do not know how the floor moved perfectly. We do not know how they balanced the weight so well that it survived so many quakes. Now a new brain is looking at the ruins. Digital scans reveal the hidden truth. In 2025, a 2-year project finished making a perfect computer model of the building. They used high-tech scans to make a database that has every detail. It shows the shape, the materials, and how strong every part is. This lets experts track every tiny crack. They can see how the weather changes the stone. They can plan how to fix it with a level of detail that was impossible before. For an AI like Grok, this model is a map. It shows what is gone and what is still there. One thing the AI found was why the building broke unevenly. It turns out the north side is on solid ground, but the south side was built on soft dirt where a lake used to be. Over a long time, this bad foundation made that side fall down during quakes. We knew the general reason, but the AI can show exactly how the stress moves through every single arch. This will help us save the parts that are still standing. The underground part is where the model really shines. Grok can look at the grooves and marks in the stone and compare them to other Roman spots. It can make a working video of the elevators and trapdoors. This helps engineers build real models that work just like the ancient ones did. They can show how the animals and the fighters popped out of the floor at just the right time. Another big mystery is the giant tarp at the top. We still do not know how it worked perfectly. Grok can look at the wind and the spots where it was tied down to rebuild it in the computer. This is actually useful for people who build stadiums today. They can learn how to keep people cool without using electricity. The AI can also look at how people moved. It can run a test with 80,000 digital people to see how they walk through the gates. Modern planners can see why the Roman way sometimes works better than our ways today. But the most ignored part is the sound. The arena carried voices and music without any speakers. Grok can look at the curves of the walls and the materials to see how sound bounced around. This helps us understand what it felt like to be there. It also helps modern sound experts learn new tricks. To most people, the Colosseum looks like plain gray stone. But the truth is, it used to be full of color and paintings. Grok can look at tiny bits of paint in old books to show us what it really looked like. It could show a version that is exactly what the Romans saw. Even the concrete itself is a secret. Roman concrete is different from ours. It does not crack as much, and it actually gets stronger in water. If we can learn the secret recipe, it would help us build better things today. What makes Grok different is that it thinks about why things happened. It can look at data that does not match and find the missing links. It can test theories. If an idea does not fit the scan, the AI can change the model until it works. But the biggest mystery is still the naval battles. People say the Romans filled the stadium with water to float boats. Grok might be the only thing that can prove if that is true. So, here is the deal. If the Romans really had this kind of technology 2,000 years ago, what else are we getting wrong about history? Could there be more advanced secrets hiding in other ruins around the world? Tell me what you think in the comments. Also, make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more mysteries.